welcome to Talk Good Games match preview of Liverpool against West Ham United. Two teams at the very top of the Premier League going head-to-head at Anfield. Gonzo, kick us off as always with your thoughts on Liverpool, please.
Yeah, a bit of a contradiction of a football club, actually. I think probably my favourite team that's not West Ham in terms of the style of football they play. I think Klopp might call it heavy metal football. I like it. I think it's a good name. I like it. It's fast, attacking, really good. Just more punchy and quicker than the teams that tend to pass it around a little bit more. I like it. Really incisive, quite brutal, quite clinical actually. So I really like that part of it. I think what they've done is pretty miraculous in terms of they're not getting sufficient funding from their owner, by the way. I think, you often hear about Liverpool being a big club, and I guess in terms of history and prestige, they are, but they don't spend like a big club. You do get the impression that they're cutting their cloth accordingly. I think they've missed out massively by having a crappy season last season. I think it cost them Jude Bellingham. I think that could be very, very costly indeed. I think they put all their eggs in one basket there. I've got to be honest with you, the fans grate on me quite a bit now. They didn't tend to use to the whole anti-English rhetoric. I find is getting a little bit much. Sort of culminated really with it was a year ago that the Queen died. It was a lot of anti-English stuff, and I find them a little bit it just grates a little bit. You have Welsh teams in the Premier League and they don't sort of give it all of that, so they sort of consider themselves to be somewhat separate, which is but there's a bit of a contradiction there because you sometimes think, well, okay, if you hate it that much then leave, but when they were rumoured to be leaving for the Super League, it was the Liverpool fans who protested as much as anyone and said, no, we want to stay here. We want to stay in the Premier League. We want to stay in the English League and whatnot. So, yeah, I find their fans a little bit, look, the anti-English rhetoric's a little bit much, but I do think they're a fantastic football team who punch well above their weight because they probably spend about half as much as the big boys spend. And, you look at what, for instance, Arsenal were spending. If Liverpool finish above Arsenal this season, it's a hell of an achievement. You think, that's Arteta gets a lot of praise there, but you think, Klopp's done a remarkable job on probably half the money,
I think Klopp is the best pound for pound manager in the Premier League. He might not be the best manager, that may be Pep Guardiola, but in terms of sort of how much money they spent, etc., taken into consideration, I think what Klopp has done is magnificent at Liverpool, and I think their start to the season, I think, has gone well under the radar. I think what they've done is tremendous. They drew the first game against Liverpool. Since when they've won, they're sitting third in the league, and they're sitting pretty. And I think they're probably the team that I expect to push Man City the furthest this season. I think they might benefit from having Europa League football instead of Champions League football. Obviously, the bank balance doesn't benefit, but in terms of results in the Premier League, I think they will be okay from that. They will, because we played the Europa League group stages 2 seasons ago and we were able to rotate players. We have done already so far. We were able to rotate players and manage fine. Liverpool heavily rotated side last night in the Europa League, and I think you'll see the same again. So until the knockout stages arise, I think Klopp will find himself able to field his strongest 11 week in, week out in the Premier League. And I'm not sure you can attribute that to both Manchester clubs, for example. Maybe they will, but I think Klopp's got a slight advantage here. But I think they will utilise that. I expect them to have a really good season, actually. I wouldn't be surprised they get a bit of silverware. And I think the way they've, the word transition's become a hype word in football, I feel, in the last couple of seasons. There's always new words that come around and they stick around for a little while. But I think Liverpool's going through theirs now in the midfield area. And I think what they've done in such a short space of time there is tremendous. Fabinho and Henderson's gone now. They've gone a complete new midfield in. And to start the season like this with a new midfield is not something you can underestimate. I think it's a tremendous achievement by them. And I expect them to have a really good season. I've been impressed by the transfer window as well. And I've actually got sympathy for Liverpool fans. And I know it'll be, hey, you're Scottish, of course you're going to have an anti-English outlook. But I sort of listened to, there's a podcast about why the Liverpool fans are sort of anti-British, and I get it now that I've sort of, I wouldn't say done research or educate myself. It's just one podcast I've listened to, but I do get it a little bit more. So I'm not as strong as you. I stay out of it. I have a lot of sympathy for them, so I do get it. But I can understand why it would rub people up the wrong way. But it doesn't rub me up in the slightest.
No, and it wouldn't rub you up the wrong way.
Scottish.
Well, yeah, it would not rub you up the wrong way because they consider themselves to be more Celts, which obviously you are. But yeah, just in terms of just it's a little bit much. But they're honestly, as a football team, I've got nothing but compliments for them, and I do think that they've been. I think the way that they were treated by Caicedo, I know it's football and I know it's business. I think that was quite shoddy. He's probably Klopp has found himself having to make a midfield that he didn't intend on making. He would probably Henderson. He probably thought he was getting another season at Henderson. Fabinho, he probably didn't expect that to happen in the way that he did. Then when he did it, he probably thought, okay, I'll get McAllister and I'll get Caicedo as well. That didn't happen. So I think this is a hurriedly constructed midfield, and it still looks good, So I think he's done remarkably well, really.
Well, what do you make of the transfer window in general for Liverpool? Like you said, a couple of big players going. Not just Fabinho and Henderson. Milner left, Oxlade-Chamberlain left, Firmino left, maybe Keita left. Some real big names departed Anfield, but they've also had some big names arrive as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a mess, for the reasons that I said. And I don't, that was because it was just unexpected and unplanned. So the plan was to get Jude Bellingham in. And I think he's got absolutely no, he was not helped in the run up to that by what happened with the protracted Mo Salah contract. I think the way Sadio Mane left, with some bitter, some ill feeling. I feel that they probably could have, funny enough, it's not a superstar player for him. I feel they probably could have done with holding on to Wijnaldum for an extra season. I think that guy in there sort of would have absolutely helped. I just think at a time when the Fenway Group, who are the owners there, have taken their eye off the ball a little bit with Liverpool. They clearly want to sell. And because of that, they're not putting the funds in. So I don't think he's been able to get the guys that he wanted to get. He was in for Haaland, don't forget. He wanted to get Haaland. He had the open line of communication with Dortmund. Wanted to get Haaland, didn't get Haaland. Wanted to get Bellingham, didn't manage to get Bellingham. So he finds himself so he can't quite get Haaland, so he gets Núñez instead. He can't, quite get Bellingham, so he's bringing other players in instead. So, I think it's a mishmash. They cannot operate at the level that the very top clubs can. So actually, I'm not saying they're taking B-list players. This is not what I'm saying, but the top global superstars, Liverpool now find themselves picking just a little bit under, just that next level under there. So they're having to build. They're building constantly. So I think, as I say, given the outlay, I think actually I've done remarkably well. Really do.
I'm not sure about the Bellingham thing. I had an expectation that they would go all in for him, but I don't know if those in charge at Liverpool would have expected to go all in. But they would have known how much Bellingham was going to cost, and they would have known that they weren't going to spend that much money on a player. So I don't know if he would have been the number one target.
But I didn't know they weren't going to qualify for the Champions League. That's
true. That's true as well. And you did think they missed it a little bit, but. Bellingham turned down other clubs in order to go to Real Madrid, so perhaps he wouldn't have gone to Liverpool anyway. But there was certainly a lot of flirting going on between the likes of Jordan Henderson. Every time when there was an England call-up, there was a little bit of Liverpool stuff getting in there. And we had it with Jesse Lingard, and Liverpool had it with Jude Bellingham, where it was very much, flashing the knickers, I'll come to Anfield kind of thing. It didn't happen. But I'm impressed by their transfer window. I think they brought in some top players in there, actually, and a bit of longevity in that midfield now. This midfield can stick together for a few years. They've got another sort of mini rebuild to do with Mo Salah next summer, but we'll have to wait and see. And Van Dijk was not quite as good as he was, but then that's why when he gets they're getting linked to Gerrard, I don't dismiss it entirely, because I think I wouldn't be surprised they were looking for a left-sided centre back eventually. Expectations for Liverpool this season? What have you got? What you got them down for?
They need to finish in the top four. That much is clear. They'll want to win the league. I just think it's going to be so hard. That we played City last week. It's hard to see anyone beating Manchester City. It's really, really difficult to see. They'll want to win the Europa League, but they can't because we're going to. And so, and the League Cup and the FA Cup is going to be. It's not enough for them. It's not enough for a club of their stature. So I think for Liverpool, realistically, look, if you ask Liverpool fans, they want they want to beat Real Madrid in a Champions League final every season. They want to add another star. They got 5. They want to have another star to the shirt and all the rest of it. I get it. That's not the situation that they're in at the moment. So I think realistically, if they can come second to Man City this season, pick up a bit of silverware somewhere, they can finish second to Man City this season and then go next season and build on top of that and really challenge City next season, but get close this one, be the second best team. And then if somehow they can get, and I don't mean a nets, but I mean if they can actually get on top of everything that they've got and on top of everything they bring in, another 200 million to spend on players, a couple of £100 million players, they could really go for it and they could really do a bit of damage season after next. But
I think they'll get that for Salah. I think the Saudis will still pay 150 million for him in this summer, because it doesn't matter if he's only got 12 months to go on his contract to them. I don't think it does. That is.
But I mean, on top of that, Gio. I mean, on top of that, because that, let's say you've got to replace Mo Salah. I mean, even accounting for Mo Salah in the team, they've still only got second. Do you know what I mean? So on top of that, another 200 million pound players elsewhere. So yeah, I think it's just difficult. It's difficult. You look at, they keep on pulling these rabbits out the hat, don't they? Well, it's not actually. It makes it seem like a magic trick, Man City. That's not what Man City are not doing, a magic trick. They're going around buying top quality players on massive wages. The rumoured wages of Haaland are eye-watering. So, I think that's what they got to do. They've got to try and get close and then strike from there. But they are building. That they cannot do the whole instant success thing. They also don't have the conveyor belt of young talent that City have, who can go and sell James Trafford for 19 million and Cole Palmer for 39 million. They don't have that either, So not only are they dealing with a club in Man City that have more money, they're dealing with a club at Man City that have better owners and are more canny in a business sense as well, because they generate their own money as well as having oil fields full of it. So it's tough. It's tough for Liverpool.
I think title challenge. My expectations are for them to challenge for the title and probably win a trophy, win one of the 3, whether it's the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, or Europa League. One of them. I know it wouldn't be deemed a massive success if they only finish in top 4 and won the Carabao Cup, but when they're hitting against the riches of Man City, and that, I think actually it's not a bad season. Actually, it's still quite a good one. And like you said, this season they've got 12 months essentially to get ready to replace Mo Salah, I think, and I'd expect that they've already done the groundwork on it, because it's been in the pipeline for quite some time. But they got a little bit of a reminder in the summer, late on in the transfer window, say, hey, hang on a minute, there's other clubs that want the Mo Salah as well. So that'd be interesting to see what they do long term. Final question on Liverpool, players you admire, please.
Alisson, really good. Really always like watching him play. He's really good. Szoboszlai looks, I've never heard of him before. Never heard of him, but he looks really good, doesn't he? Let's be fair. I like Diaz. I think I missed Diaz. I think Diaz last season, the injury, I think that was the difference between Europa and Champions League football. But that's the trouble when you don't have the riches and the squad that Man City have got. Small margins, lose one player is sometimes the difference between qualification and not. He's really good. Jota is efficient. He's efficient. He's a goal scorer, isn't he? So that's I think he's a good player as well. So yeah, lots of good players, Liverpool.
Yeah, Szoboszlai, I completely agree with. Top signing for them, and I think McAllister's a top signing too. He's not hit the ground running yet. He's not been as good as I expected. There's been a couple of games I've tuned in for Liverpool where he's been underperforming. He struggled last week at the Molineux as well, but to be fair, I think they both did. But I think with time, once they get into that role, because they don't have a defensive midfielder anymore, or they're not really playing with a defensive midfielder, so it's a little bit different for them. But once they get used to it, I think that would be fantastic. Endo in there as well, Gravenberch as well, a late signing. So it'll be interesting if he can fulfill the potentially showed at Ajax. They've got a really good player in their hands. I mean, it's a bit obvious, but I can't speak about Ben Doak yet. He's not done it quite yet. But when we play Liverpool next season, I might be able to speak about him. And the obvious one's Mo Salah. He just continues to do it. This guy's one of the best ever players the Premier League has seen, and he won't. I don't think he'll get the plaudits from outside Liverpool until he leaves. Once he goes somewhere, we might look back at his numbers and think, wow,
Yeah.
the numbers he hits is insane. The goals, the assists, and sometimes you can have a quiet game. He doesn't actually play that well, but he still scores or he still sets up a goal. And I think that's what just puts him in that world-class ability bracket. Liverpool will miss him, so they need to get a big replacement in. But again, this season, he started the season in fine form. I mean, I'm always a little bit naive when I look at the season's coming up. I think surely Salah can't do it again. I've thought that for a couple of seasons now, but he keeps on doing it. He's just a tremendous talent.
Amazing, Geo. Amazing when you think that Chelsea sold. You another one who'll go down as a Premier League great is Kevin De Bruyne. Amazing that Chelsea sold both Mo Salah and Kevin De Bruyne. Crikey, they are a funny old club.
Anyway, let's talk about our team, West Ham. The team news is everybody is available. Jared Bowen missed the game on Thursday night as he had the sniffles, but he was fully expected to be available for the game against Liverpool. Edson Alvarez missed it due to a one-match suspension for UEFA competitions. So David Moyes has every single player to select from on Sunday afternoon, so much so that there'll be 3 or 4 senior players not even on the bench. He's going to have to leave some players out of the squad altogether. So lots of players available. However, not that many places up for grabs, I would suggest, Gonzo.
No.
Let's talk about the team that me and you want to see, not what we think Moyes will do, what we want to see, and start with our goalkeeper, please.
Yeah, Areola comes back in after he got to make one save, didn't he, Fabianski, the other night? So probably not enough action to warrant him getting back into the team. And Areola's been amazing for us this season. So Areola in goal, which I'm sure is the same for yourself.
Areola off the back of another man of match performance where he conceded 3 goals. But in comes Areola. The back 4. Now, this is where there possibly is a decision to make. So right back Soufal, left back Emerson.
Yeah.
Zuma will be playing at the back.
Yeah.
But who would you like to see partner Kurt Zuma?
Good.
Sticking with him.
Yeah, but he's over that side of the defence, you talk about Mo Salah, he's quick. Agurd is probably our second fastest player. So, I'd put him over there. And, I mean, we have not... I take it you were... I know you're probably going to go with Agurd, but you're devil's advocate, you're thinking Mavropanos.
Well, more that Agurd was at fault for the deciding goal, the winning goal against Manchester City. And I feel like every game this season, I feel every game this season he's made quite a big mistake. Sometimes we get punished, sometimes we don't. More often than not, we do not get punished by it, but it causes a little bit of, whoa, hang on a minute, in the box. And I would suggest if Saeed Benrahma was putting in a near for Gerd performances, we'd want him dropped. If James Ward-Prowse was putting in near for Gerd performances, we'd possibly want him dropped. But I think he's getting away with it a little bit because the alternative to a Gerd is Ogbonna. The reality is because Mavropanos and Kedar are more right-sided, and like you said, you put them and you've got to move Zuma over. Yeah. And we do not need Mo Salah running at Kurt Zuma, that's for sure. Let me change it then. If Mavropanos is more left-sided, would you change it?
Quite possibly, but I don't think Agurd did have a bad performance. I thought Agurd had an excellent performance, but he has these moments. That's the issue. It's not overall performance, it's moments. He has these moments of indecision, an error. There's an error in there. Overall, I thought he was very good. I thought he did the best header of the match, or he did the best tackle of the match, and he did the second best pass of the match. Actually, Agurd in that. Also, I'd like Agurd is a big part of that attack down the left-hand side we're starting to see with Emerson and Paqueta there. He's part of that. So I think the positives outweigh the negatives. We've only seen Mavropanos in a European game. I think if Mavropanos shows that he can play left centre back over the next little while, I think Agurd's got a problem because Mavropanos looks like a right player. But I need to see him against some slightly better opposition than TSC.
Yeah, I would keep Agurd in as well for the reason we've discussed. Plus, and this isn't the main reason, but just to add to it, if he does want to move to Anfield, then you better show up and perform in front of Jurgen Klopp, and that's for sure. So if you have a stinker on Sunday afternoon, I think you maybe just got rid of any potential transfer that you were perhaps hoping for a replacement for Van Dijk. But I'd keep him in as well because I'm not that confident. I don't want to Bonner to start. I'm not sure about Kedra or Mavropanos on the left, and I don't want to see Zuma on the left. So I think Agurd's a lucky boy, though. I do feel that he's possibly on the verge of being dropped, and if Mavropanos was left-footed, I think I'd maybe want to see him left out at Anfield, but he's not. So Agurd goes in. Moving into midfield, I think this picks itself.
I think it does, but for once, what Moyes is going to do is what I want to do as well, actually.
Oh, is it?
It is, yeah.
This is going to be a little bit fun then. What do you want to do? Because I don't think Moyes is going to do what I want to do.
Well, not nice, is he? Not nice like that, is he, Moyes? Fancy him not doing what you want to do. I would go with Alvarez comes back in, obviously, and I will play James Ward-Prowse in there, clearly, and I'd also play Thomas Souček in the middle as well. I absolutely would. Yeah, I guess, because obviously I'll be as I'm getting.
Okay, well, we'll come back to this because the viewer can now work out the rest of Gonzo's team. You can probably work out my team. Now, Gonzo can probably guess what my team's going to be. Would you like to guess?
Yeah, you would drop Souček and you will play Paqueta in the middle.
Yep, and then my front three would be.
You're going to play Kudus, you're going to play Antonio, and you're going to play Bowen.
Correct. And I'm assuming your three remaining players are Bowen, Paqueta, and either you're going Antonio or you throw the curveball and putting Kudus down the middle. I think you're going to go. I think Moyes will go Antonio. So if you think Moyes is going to do the same as you, that's Bowen, Antonio, and Paqueta.
Yeah, but I'm not going with Bowen.
What are you doing then?
Well, I say Moyes. I was talking more about the midfield. I don't know. Bowen might be fit, but he's had, by the sounds of it, he's had what a lot of people have had, right? And you know, if he's had the upset tummy, he's had the sore throat, and he's had the headache, it does take it out of you a little bit. And even if he's sort of 95%, I think it's enough reason to not, you know, and I've had the bug, and I honestly, you know, I felt ropey. So for that reason, I would play Paqueta on the left, I'd play Kudus on the right, and I would play Antonio up front. Kudus with the absolute license to cut inside and use his pace. Paqueta to absolutely on the counter-attack to release. And I'm playing the, two fast players there. So they were very much, when we got the ball, they'd make a two. Kudus and Antonio, they'd make a two. And I think with Paqueta releasing that ball early, Liverpool play a high line over the top. I think there's a way for us to get them there, and I also do think that if Kudus is shooting like he does, I think there's corners to be had, and if there's corners to be had, I want Souček in there. I want a load of big guys in there to cause them some problems, and I'm actually quite hopeful of it, actually.
If I hadn't watched Liverpool's game against Wolves, I think I'd have been inclined to say to put Antonio on the bench for this one, not to drop him, to play the game. But I did see Liverpool play against Wolves, and I wouldn't have been the only West Ham fan that sat there thinking, "Hey, hang on a minute, we can get this slot," because Liverpool were very suspect to the counter attack. They were very open, conceded a lot of chances. So for that reason, I think I'd stick with Antonio up front. Now, before we talk about if we're confident, although Gonzo's given a little indication as to whether he's feeling a little bit fruity ahead of Sunday's game, just want to point in the direction of our Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/Hammers Chat, where you can receive more Hammers Chat videos, if you wish, or you can support the channel. Well, you do both things, but you also support the channel from £3.60 per month. But we've also got a trial over there. If you join up as a Michail Dandy, you can get a 7-day free trial. So at the end of the week, you don't fancy it, you don't like what we do, you can cancel it, and you do not pay a penny. Go to patreon.com/Hammers Chat. Links in the description below. A massive thank you to anybody who does head over there and join up. And if you do, myself and Gonzo will see you on Sunday morning for the breakfast show, and we'll see you Monday morning for the player ratings off the back of this game. Gonzo, are you feeling optimistic? And if you are you feeling confident?
I'm not optimistic any Liverpool fans are going to sign up to our Patreon after the start of the video, quite frankly. But I am optimistic that we can cause Liverpool some problems. I absolutely am. I think we'll score. And if we score, it comes down to, can Liverpool score? Well, hold on, let me rephrase that. Yes, Liverpool can score more goals than West Ham. That much is clear. Will Liverpool score more goals than us? I think it's going to be really, really interesting. Can't wait. It's going to be a really hotly contested game. I don't think Liverpool had it all their own way in their European game, and but they win 3-1 in the end. Was it 3-1 or 3-2? 3-1. Yeah, I mean we didn't have it all our own way in our European game, but 3-1 for us as well. Both teams up in the top half at a Premier League, so and both teams have got some players on form, and in the shape of James Ward-Prowse, we have a player in red hot form. I mean, what is that? Is that 2 goals and 6 assists in the start of the season?
I want to say 4 assists. 4 assists and 2 goals and 5 games.
Well, I think definitely had 3. Yeah. Had 3. Well, I think 3. So maybe 5 assists and 2 goals, I think, then in which case, because we certainly went into it.
I don't think it's 5. I'm sure it's 4. Maybe it is 5. I think it's 4 assists and 2 goals in 5 games. Which is still good.
It's still good. So someone will tell us in the chat. But yeah, it's so we have that. We got a brute in midfield. A winner in Edson Alvarez, an absolute winner, nasty, gnarly, horrible geezer in nasty old Mexican in the midfield, and we all love a nasty old Mexican. And a lovely Brazilian as well. So we got one of those as well, which is really good. And I think Antonio, if he's on form, and I think he needs to get that international stuff out of his system sometimes. I know he didn't make. Not even sure he played in the last game, but he doesn't need to play. He's only got to travel when it seems to throw him out, which I understand that absolutely. So I think he might have got that out of his system as well. So I think we could be looking for a good Antonio performance. Kurt Zouma can perform his heroics. Emerson's the big thing here. Emerson, how can Emerson do? I think this is probably going to be key. If Emerson has a good game, then I think it's game on, mate.
Yeah, I'm optimistic. I hate saying this, but it depends on what Liverpool turns up as much as what version of West Ham turn up as well. I think it'll be a very difficult game. I think it'll be a difficult game for both teams, actually. 2 sides and a little bit of confidence. Their style can harm us, but I think our style can harm them at the same time as well, actually. I think it'll be quite an interesting matchup. They'll clearly have the better players, so we're going to need a little bit of luck to go our way. But I agree with you. I think we'll score, but I'm also confident we'll concede as well. Yeah. And Emerson's versus Salah's the key matchup, really. I do agree with that one because I think Emerson's been fantastic this season. But I have to be honest with you. I'm still a little bit concerned that he's going to get exposed defensively. He's not done it yet. This is going by what I've seen last season. It's probably unfair, but I do think he's a way to come up against the best right winger in the Premier League. So it'll be interesting to see how we deal with that and how he deals with it. So it'll be a good test for him. But I'll tell you what, if he comes through this one with another strong performance, then Christ, we've got some player on our hands here. Can I get any final words from yourself and your all-important score prediction, please?
Yeah, I mean, in the event of that, what's going to be incredibly important is that Agurd moves quickly to cover Emerson's position, and then Alvarez drops in at centre-back to cover Agurd's position. So, I'm pretty sure that will be the plan to mitigate that particular attack. Looking forward to it, mate. Really, really looking forward to it. Was it 2 o'clock? 2 o'clock Sunday, I think. 2 o'clock kickoff. So what's it's probably on Sky, isn't it? So, is it not? It's not on telly.
TV. No.
Oh well, that's. I guess that's something we don't have to listen to Sky talking about Liverpool for an hour before the game.
The North London Derby's on at 2 o'clock.
What is
the North London Derby?
And
then Brentford, Newcastle, or something. I can't remember.
That's right. I'd say I'd rather see Brentford, Fulham than those other mob. I'll tell you. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, it should be really, really good occasions. I'm surprised it's not on the telly, actually. But you know what? If that's it, I guess they would always pick Tottenham and Arsenal, wouldn't they? On that one, it's probably an interesting game. The neutrals would probably prefer to watch that. But, as far as Liverpool fans, West Ham fans are concerned, I think it's going to be a really good, hotly contested game. Looking forward to it. 2-2 for me.
Yeah, I was actually going to say 2-2 as well, to be honest with you. I feel like I want to say a Liverpool win to almost calm my expectations on the game, but now I'm going to stick with 2-2. I think we can do some damage. We'll have the players on the bench as well. I think Moyes will play Paqueta on the left, Bowen on the right, Antonio up front, and then Souček, Ward-Prowse, and Alvarez. So I think Kudus will be on the bench. But what that does mean is we've got Kudus on the bench if we need him. So that'll give us a bit of a threat in the attack as well. So I think we've got some good players in good form at the minute. And every time we get a set piece, we've got a chance.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that, really. We have an opportunity. As soon as we get a corner, we've got a chance of getting a goal. But I do think they'll score a couple as well. So it's just a case of, can we do the same? And I think we might, actually. So there you go. It's not very often myself and Gonzo predict the same score, but we're both going for 2-2 on this one. Anyway, if you're going to the game, enjoy it. If not, we'll be live at 12:55 on Sunday afternoon with our build-up show. But if you enjoyed this preview, please do drop a like on by clicking the thumbs up, which you can find underneath the video. Subscribe if you need to have a chat with myself and Gonzo. Catch you in a bit.